Steppin with Marcus J. Thank you so much, everybody, for staying with us. Whatnot. If you want to be down, give us a call, 804-402-2893, 804-402-2893 for the flagship show here on Legacy Internet Radio. Ain't no half Steppin with Marcus J. I want to go ahead now introduce joining the crew, joining the building, I should say, is your main man, Carlton Banks. What's going on, my brother?
I'm going good, bro. This is a good weekend, good week, good day. You know, everything's beautiful outside.
You having a good day so far?
Yes.
Well,
very much so.
Definitely glad to hear it. Also joining us in studio tonight, we got the dating pool diva. What's going on, girl?
Hey, how you doing?
Doing fabulous. Good to see you. Good to see you. Now, what I want to do, I want to jump right into it. I got a couple of what the hells that I want to talk about. And, of course, Carlton Banks, we're going to have your segment. What do you think about it? And the Dating Pool Diva's got a question that we're going to ask in an abbreviated version of the Diva Diary. So let's jump right into it. Serena Williams. Serena Williams has found herself in the middle of controversy. And no, not that stuff that she's dealing with the married guy and all of that kind of stuff. We ain't talking about that. This one is a little bit more, should I say, controversial. Apparently, she was given a Rolling Stones interview, and she was asked about the Steubenville rape case, in which the young girl was assaulted after having hung out with the athletes. And basically, she said some things that were said to be controversial. And after having some backlash, she has now apologized to the family. She's trying to reach out to them. But here's basically what she said. What happened in Steubenville was a real shock for me. I'm deeply saddened for someone to be raped and only 16 is such a horrible tragedy for both families involved, that the rape victim and the accused. She went on to say that the perpetrators did something stupid, and she's asking, do we think it's fair, the punishment that they got? But then here's where it gets a little funny. She adds, I'm not blaming the girl, but if you're a 16-year-old and you're drunk like that, your parents should teach you don't take drinks from other people. She's also quoted as saying she shouldn't have put herself in the position unless they slipped her to something, then it's different. Now, I have been in conversation with several people, and there are a lot of people, and I'm going to come to you first, Diva. Okay. There are a lot of people who have issues with Serena Williams saying the things that she said in this story. Most notably, the fact that she shouldn't have put herself in that position. Mm-hmm. What's your thoughts on this? And I guess I'll ask you, directly, do you have a problem with what Serena has said? If you do, tell me why. If you don't, tell me why. Why not?
I, was up on that particular article as well. And, I think she also blamed the parents for not being involved more with their daughter. But I just feel like it's always insensitive to blame or accuse the victim. So I didn't like the comments that she made. I didn't think it was right to say at any point. I don't know how fresh this is.
Right. I think the incident happened last year. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure. I don't have the dates in front of me, and it doesn't allude to when it was in this article, which I'm actually kind of surprised that it even came up, but it did. And in this particular interview in the Rolling Stone, she'd been asked about it. Carlton Banks, when you hear the comments from Serena Williams, what's your thoughts, man?
She's speaking from the heart. She's speaking her opinion, and unfortunately, somebody's going to get mad at a person's opinion, regardless of if it's right, wrong, insensitive, just. I do understand what she's saying. However, we don't know the tone or the full context of what her intent was. Understandably, you try to teach your kids that, you don't drink everything somebody gives you. One of the things my parents taught me is that when I shouldn't leave my food alone at the table, because somebody could easily put something in it, and then whatever happens, unfortunately, from that. And, I'll be on a bad trip, somebody slip me something, that kind of thing. So I understand what she was trying to convey. Again, it may have been, in some cases, or in somebody's idea, bad taste. But I understand exactly what she was trying to say. You try to teach your kid certain things, and unfortunately, she just happened to be in the wrong place, wrong time kind of situation.
It's one of those situations that I feel really, really crazy, because in the same night, I'm going to defend the two athletes that I like the least in America. I in the last segment, I talked a whole bunch about how great LeBron James is, but you also know I'm not a fan of that guy, and I'm certainly not a fan of Serena Williams, because mostly her antics off the court and how she seems to me to be a sore loser. But none of that has anything to do with this. When you're right, you're right. I agree with her 100%. Here's my thing. It's not, to me, about the rape. And I know I had this conversation with a friend of mine a week ago, and she called me to task for saying that it's not about the rape. But for me, it really isn't about the rape. It's about taking precautions. And this particular friend of mine said that, you never, ever ask, to be raped. It's never okay. And you never want to make it seem like you're making light of the victim or saying the victim, should have done something else. Here's where I disagree. If you live in a house, you're not going to go to sleep at night with your door open. If you own a car, you're not going to drive to the mall, leave it running with the windows down and walk away. If you own a computer, you're going to put virus scan on it. The unfortunate thing is, in the world that we live in today, people are out to do bad stuff to you. They just are. And so we need to take precautions to make sure that that doesn't happen, because we know that there's the possibility that it may happen. Should somebody come into my house in the middle of the night just because my door is open? No. Should somebody steal my car from the mall parking lot even though it's running and I'm not there? No. Should somebody send me some spam or something to jack up my computer just because I'm exposed and I don't have virus scan? No, of course not. Should somebody rape me because I'm drunk and I can't defend myself? Absolutely not. But I am not going to put myself in a situation where I'm left exposed to something like that to happen. To that, Diva, you say what?
Well, I have a question too. I think I read something about I lost my thought real quick there. I was going to say, she also said something about the actual perpetrators,
okay,
and the time being do they get all that time for what they did? And I thought that was insensitive. Well, did you see something like that? She
alludes a little bit. I mean, that was the question.
Like, wow, all that time for what they did?
Yeah, what Serena said was, and it's partly in the article, she said, do you think it's fair what they got as far as the time they got? Yeah, she loses me with that, because, the unfortunate thing about the judicial system that we have here in our country, that we know that, there are inadequacies in some cases, and overcharging and over sentencing and others. So the best that we can do is try to compare sentences with others. And if they appear to be in line with others based upon the same crime, the best we can do is just kind of leave that alone. So I don't know what they got, because the article doesn't allude to it, at least not the one that I'm reading from. And I am reading this from CBSnews.com. The article doesn't allude to how much time they got, but I don't know that it was wise for her to question how much time they got, unless they got 100 years for it. Nobody gets 100 years for rape unless you kill somebody. So again, I don't know that it was wise for her to go there, but I don't know if it was wise for her to go there. But as far as her questioning whether the girl was in the position to defend herself, I think that while it was probably unwise to say publicly, I don't necessarily disagree with her on that. Carlton Banks, what do you have to say about that?
Well, again, you have that scenario where everybody has a different argument of how much time somebody gets on a certain crime. And again, you're going to wonder if race was an issue when they got the time. Again, the maximum penalty set up by the state or the jurisdiction that they were tried in is going to dictate how much time they got. So not knowing exactly what crime they were committed, were they really charged with rape, or were they charged with something else outside of rape, which carried a lesser charge? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Do we know that?
I don't have it in front of me, and I didn't really want to get into the charges and how long they were charged. What I really wanted to kind of focus on was the fact that she said that this young person should have taken precaution. That's kind of where I wanted to focus the discussion on, simply because that's the piece of the discussion that's getting the most airplay out there. And because of that, and because of people jumping on her, while I think that it was in poor taste for her to go there, I don't necessarily disagree with her, mostly because of the tenor of how our country is now. Not just our country, but just how the world is now, when we can't assume because we're good people that people are going to treat us good. We can't assume because we do the right thing that good things are going to happen to us. Unfortunately, the world is such that we need to take precautions because we know there's some jacked up people out there that's waiting to pounce on us if they catch us slipping. And that's what I wanted to get into.
Well, I want to ask you, Marcus, what do you think about the parents' accountability in this situation?
Well, the reality is, a 16-year-old girl that's out drinking, I'd be curious to know what she told her parents, and where she was supposed to be, because I'm guessing that they weren't expecting that she would have been at a party, where there would be alcohol. That's the first thing. Please, and by the way, if anybody wants to get in on any of this, give us a call at 804-402-2893. I'm opening up the phone lines literally as we speak. Carlton Banks will screen you and get you on the air. 804-402-2893 is the number to dial. As far as the parents, again, I mean, you have to assume that you have a relationship with your child where the child's going to keep it real with you. But obviously the child didn't keep it real, because there's no way that the parents would have let her go to this party if they would have known that there was going to be alcohol there. At least I have to assume that. A 16-year-old girl, you're not going to let your 16-year-old girl, go out to a party with alcohol. However, I'd also be curious to know what time this happened, which, I don't have, simply because it wasn't where I really wanted to go. But I don't have what time it was, but I don't know where curfew was and that sort of thing. It's just a real tough thing. And I do think that the parents would have accountability in one sense, because you're responsible for your child up until they're 18 years old. You just are. And if they go somewhere and they do something stupid, you kind of have to take that hit for them along with them, depending on what that is. And while it's sad and it's unfortunate, it kind of is what it is. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. Live from the Den, y'all. Legacy Internet Radio. We see y'all lighting up on MixLR. We appreciate it. We see the people on Shoutcast and Winamp and Loud City. We appreciate it. We're getting a hit on the MixLR page. That's why Butler says agree 100%. Never put yourself in a situation where you're vulnerable. I agree with Carlton. My mom taught me, if you leave your food or drink and walk away, never go back to it, and don't take things from people. It's just the same as you are teaching your young one never to take candy from anyone. And she had no business out there drinking. So that's why I think she's agreeing with us. I appreciate the comment. Thanks for listening to us. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J. But the next question that I have is kind of coming from the religious background. So all you Christians out there, I'd be curious to hear what you guys' opinion is on this 804. I'm gonna need you to not cut me off again. 804-402-2893. I'm not gonna fight with him today, Diva. I'm not gonna fight with him today, because I'm not gonna fight with him today. We ain't gonna fight. But no, I really do want my Christian brothers and sisters on this one, because it's Christian centric. Had Carlton give me an opportunity to finish my setup, he would have known that. And he's real good for cutting me off. But anyway, I got two Texas pastors, two of them, not one, but two. Pastor Ira V. Hilliard, who is of New Light Church in Houston, Texas, is using his powerful pulpit to ask some of his congregation via email for donations to help fix his helicopter. He is asking the congregation for $52 donations, and he promised that they'd be blessed if they helped out. Basically, he says, quote, "Do you need better transportation? Do you have a dream vehicle or a luxury automobile you long to purchase? I believe with all my heart this message is for you, and you're doing something today that's key to releasing this favor on your transportation situation. Send me your transportation need or your dream you have by completing the online petition. When you sow a $52 transportation favor seed, believing in 52 days or 52 weeks, you will experience a breakthrough favor." Translation, he told his congregation, you give me $52 for 52 days or 52 weeks, and you will probably get a car or transportation. Yeah. Now, the other one is a televangelist Televangelist out of Midland, Michigan, dubbed as the Preacher of Righteousness, asked his followers in a letter for $79,000 to repaint a luxury jet he says, quote, actually belongs to the Lord, end quote. Dr. Mark Barclay of Mark Barclay Ministries sent out a letter dated May of 2013, of course, asking for the money to repaint his Citation 3650 purchased by his organization just a year ago because the paint had started to chip. He says, quote, we are still believing God to finish the project, and we thank you for agreeing with us in prayer. And now Diva was waving at me during my setup here, and I'm going to give you an opportunity to jump in here first. I wanted to kind of lay out both of those situations before I had either of you kind of comment on it. Now, what you got for me?
Okay, this is how I feel on both situations. To me, they're the same story, just with different details.
And now that was the point. That was the whole point of me reading them both. Yes, I agree. Yes,
I feel like God's money is money that is being put into the community to help people. Okay, not to help one individual get their helicopter, limousine, or whatever house fixed. Okay, so whenever I hear anything that's like centered around one person, be it the pastor or whoever in the congregation, I get suspicious. Even when you have preachers asking for birthday money or things like that, I look suspicious about that, because I just feel like God's money is for the people. It's for people who are in need, in my opinion. And so I try to stay away from those type of churches and those type of pastors and leaders that obviously seem to be greedy and wanting to get money from people who are vulnerable most of the time.
Colin Banks.
What church doesn't ask for money? I'm just curious.
Well, let's not go there yet. Let's not go there yet, because that where you're going, and I'll reintroduce that, because that's the second part of what I want to go to. I want to stick to what I laid out for you. 2 pastors in Texas. One needs help fixing his helicopter, and the other one needs help painting his jet. I want to talk about them too.
Where the heck they going in that? I just need to know where they going. I mean, most pastors don't need a helicopter and they don't need a jet unless they going somewhere out the country to get away from somebody. What they need that for? That's what I want to know.
Well, I mean, I agree with you. I agree with you, and anybody that knows me knows that when I see a story like this, the first thing I do is I kind of give the raised eyebrow, because you got these mega churches who are basically, I set it up by saying pimps in the pulpit, because to me that's what this is. You got your nice little helicopter, in one case your nice jet. You want to ask your parishioners to help you paint your jet. I mean, to me that is one of the most egregious displays of abuse of power I think I've ever seen in the church. And I was so offended by the first story, because the first story I saw with the helicopter, I saw that last week after we went off the air, or else we would have talked about it last Monday. But in the preparation of setting up today's show, I came across a second dude doing basically the same thing, and it just to me, people, I know you hear people say, I moved away from religion because I had issues with the church and all those kinds of things. Trust me, that wasn't it for me. That ain't why I went away from religion. I went away from religion because I find it divisive. That's why I went away from religion, and we can talk about that another time. But when I see the pastor of the church, as the Dating Pool Diva said, filling his pockets basically with the money of the people so that he can have a nice shiny airplane or a jet or a fixed helicopter. I tell you, man, as you can see, I usually am not a loss for words, but this just really chaps me. It just really does, because I would guess that a lot of these people don't have the kind of resource. Like in one case, if you got issues with transportation, come pray to me and I'll see till you get it. So basically, these are people who can't even drive the church, but they're going to help him fix his helicopter? I mean, come on, man. That's just crazy to me. And I don't want to make it out like every single pastor is like this. But these two, I'm guessing in relatively large churches, when you look around, a lot of the social ills that you see go around, in our communities, as well as on a large scale, you don't even see a church in the middle of it like you used to. You know what I mean? Like if you look at the civil rights movement, pretty much every single figurehead you saw was backed by some sort of religious, organization, with the Nation of Islam behind Malcolm, and the Ebenezer Baptist Church and Southern Christian Leadership Conference behind Martin Luther King. And if you look at Martin Luther King's whole crew, from Abernathy to Andy, they all were preachers. You know what I'm saying? And so if you look now, you don't see it like you used to see it. Name a preacher, someone who leads a congregation that's at the head of some sort of civil rights movement or some sort of social movement or some sort of, something to advance the people on a whole grand scale, not just in their own little neighborhood. You can give me Al Sharpton or Jesse Jackson, but ain't either one of them pastors. They preachers, but they ain't pastors.
True.
And that, Carlton, is what chaps me. And to that you say what?
I wanted to know if they did give money to this guy, that anybody on the board, be it the deacon, the trustee, or somebody, say, this ain't right.
It's a good question.
I mean, it's got to be somebody. I mean, Abraham Lincoln said, you can fool some of the people some of the time, but you can't fool all of the people all of the time. Okay? It's somebody in that church got to be smart enough to say, why this man got a helicopter? Why this man got a jet? I mean, is he going to drop out the jet? Is he going to jump out the helicopter? I mean, really, what do you need a personal helicopter for? That's the part I can't get over yet.
And I agree. And the other question that I asked in concert with this one was, I actually haven't been in a church in a while, but I had saw something that triggered a question that I had a long time ago from a time when I was inside of a church. And I put it on Facebook, and I kind of got the rundown from the crew, because they'll always answer your questions. So Diva, I'm gonna come to you on this one first, because I know that you were part of that discussion. Okay. Why are we seeing ATMs inside of churches? What's up with that? What's up with that? And we had some interesting comments from some folks, and I'm going to look to see if I can find that blog so that I can share with the listeners some of the comments that we got. But real talk, why are we seeing ATMs in churches?
And I can't remember what I said on my comment, but I
remember what you said without even pulling it up. You basically was like, that's how come I don't like to go to those kinds of places, just like you said a minute ago.
But I do remember everybody else's, responses. Well, it's a business, and, a lot of people don't carry cash, so they can just, stop by the ATM and get the money to put into their envelopes. I just feel like it just says big money all over it. Like, I don't personally like going to mega churches, especially because I just feel like it's all about the money. It's not about helping people and things like that. Now, some of them do have some nice programs for children. The Rock Center is an example. They do have some nice programs, but a lot of them, they're not doing all that with the kids and homeless and all of that. They're putting it in their pockets.
Right. I found the blog, and just read a couple of quick comments. Yoshi says a lot of people don't carry cash, and it's on their bank card, so people who claim they don't have an offering for their tithes because they forgot to get cash have a way to do so. Riziki says it's a business. Just in case they think of new offerings, people have no excuse about being unprepared. Preem, it says down in Atlanta they got ATMs, and a lot of churches want W-2s for membership so they can calculate your 10%. You've got, hang in there with me. I got another one. Parmill says that it's a business. You got Johnny, and I know Johnny personally. I went to college with Johnny. Johnny lives down in Houston, Texas. He's got a couple of comments here, and I'm gonna read them all because they're definitely they fit what we're talking about here. But what Johnny says is most of them aren't ATMs; they're payment kiosks. They help keep the church's cost of paper down, speed up service, free up staff, and make registration for conferences easy. Kate Up was listening or reading, and he was like, are you serious? Because when I read that comment, I was wondering if he was serious, and he responds, Johnny does, yes, he is definitely serious. He's a youth pastor, and they have a given kiosk, and those reasons they moved towards the kiosk, not to mention protection because they were getting robbed. I'm going to start paraphrasing some of this stuff here because it's a lot. But basically what he is saying is that they have members that were tithing, and their bank started charging for automatic payments. It's cheaper for them to set payment through an online giving, and the church only losing an average of 2.2% per transaction. And there's also security, because they had incidences of churches that were being robbed of the cash that was coming in from the cash offerings that they were getting. So Carlton Banks, you're hearing all of this. The original question was, why are we seeing ATMs in churches? After having heard some of the comments from some of the Facebook fam and having formulated your own opinion, what's your thoughts?
I think that it is an okay situation to have a ATM in a church, because for one, you know where the money's coming from. Two, it gives the bank a form of stability where, hey, I don't have to worry about getting jacked when I go somewhere else to get some money to give to the church. I know personally, I don't carry cash, so if I can go to the ATM and pull out money that way and give my offering to church, then hey, that's what I want to do. I know some churches probably want to get in the habit of actually opening up a bank. You know, why not? That way the parishioners can utilize that, and then again, also at the same time, avoid any type of transaction fee, like you said. You know, I think it's kind of cool though to do an online debit or offering like that. I mean, as long as you take out the right amount, or you take when I tell you to take it, right? Sounds good.
I had people who, when they saw the question, they inboxed me. They didn't put any comments in there. They inboxed me because they thought that I was trying to be a smart ass and that I was asking the question rhetorically. I really wasn't. I really was asking the question because I wanted to know what people thought. Like, I mean, obviously, I'm smart enough to know that it's a business. So I knew that people would say it's a business, and I get that. You can say what you want about it, but the churches have to make money so that they can run. At minimum, that's what they're there to do. You know, but then again, there are some people who go to church, who work at the church, and that's how they make their money. So that's, you know, it is what it is. So in a sense, I understand it, but it's one of those things for me, it's just a bad visual, you know. But I mean, you know, business-wise, I understand, you know, what they're doing. What upsets me a lot of times is because the churches don't want to get, you know, don't want to lose their funding from the government. They choose to stay out of certain things where they could be of a help, you know, in the community. And that sometimes upsets me, because those people come to the church, you know, and they pour their heart out, you know, and they pour their pockets out. And I understand that you go to church to worship, and I don't want to say that's all you get is your worship. However, your church should also be your community, because that's the way it was when I was growing up. I remember going to Monumental Baptist Church in Jersey City, New Jersey, and I remember it being a community. I remember us going on college trips, and ironically, one of those college trips was to my alma mater, Virginia Union University, and it was a trip that I took with my church that helped me decide that was the college that I was going to choose. So I like the church that I grew up in. I just question some of the others who aren't doing much, especially if they got a ATM in there and all they doing is collecting money. Ain't no how stepping with Marcus J. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we got a missing child. We got a word from our sponsor. And we got a word from the Dating Pool Diva. Marcus J. Ain't no how stepping with the Dating Pool Diva and Carlton Banks. Be back in a minute. That's right.